This is an overview for the Hi-Fi project. I'm just going to go over the components that are used for the application itself. First thing is going to show the model that was used as far as building this. We use a tool called OABuilder. From this we're able to generate a lot of the application, the back-end database, server, in-house client application, along with the website and some interfaces to web services and stuff like that. So this was the design modeling area of it. From that, the live application is we have the server. The server basically is an application server, starts up and connects to the database, has a connection pool to the database to do all the database related activity and stuff, manage that. It's a zero admin database, so it also has built into it checking for corruption, validating the ORM layer against the database layer, make sure everything's in sync. Also, it starts up the web server, so that's for the web access and everything else. It's also set up to allow communications in through the client application. It's also set up so we can have multiple of these servers working as one. So we can basically create another server that just handles web access, client access through the web. Another one that might just handle web services or a REST interface, or an email process, or another order processing server that just manages those different things. But the main thing is they will all act as one together, and we'll get more into that as we get into the application and stuff. So this is a server. From this we can know what's going on with how much memory is being used and profiling, some stuff like that, but also configuration, who's connected into it and everything else. Any exceptions, so if something happens on one of the we call it admin clients, which is a swing application, which is a heavy application that's used to manage the application itself. We can get all the exceptions and stuff like that. That application is called the admin client, Hi-Fi admin client, and we basically, from that model, we're able to get this application. It's 100% generated for us, and basically from our model we defined exactly how we want it laid out, the information that goes to it and everything else. So from this we're able to get to all the information. From the model also, it has security and some other information about the data to know how we edit it, if we can edit it, if we can even see it, that type of information. If I log in as an admin, obviously I'm going to be able to have more rights and everything else than if I log in as somebody who has view only access or limited access. So understanding the model is pretty important. The model is driven by requirements, so it's pretty much a natural process that it goes through. This application then flows the same way. So if I go into a program, I know a program has locations. If I go to a location, I know the locations have employees. If I want to look at one of the employees, I can pop up the information about the employees. And as you can see, there's lots of information here, and this again relates right back to the model. So this isn't just something that just generates a lot of code and puts it out there. It actually, from the model, it decides that here's all the information that we have on employees. And if I click on a different employee, I can actually go in and see other information that's going on with that. So the search criteria, lookups, reporting, all that functionalities built into this. There's also set up to have imports, exports, XML based, binary based, all that. The client application itself is communication wise is connected to the server. It has a type of connection to the server that allows for concurrent access to the server. So as we have multiple threads running on this, doing different things, some in the background, some at different times during the process, it's all able to communicate directly to the server, and it's all done in these model objects. So a model object knows how to work to the server. We also can go further. We have some commands that are distributed to the server or to another server, and those are all based on the model. So in the model we can say run this on the server. If we do a process where we want to run an email, I don't know if we have any open. If I want to print this email, it would actually send it from the server and create the PDF if needed and everything else. And again, this is all built, these commands are all built into the model. So in the model there's a command called send email, and here's the information that it needs to be called on a button. If there's an image to show with it, everything else comes from that. Built into the component set is a lot of functionality, a lot of rich components. So there's a word processor type component with a lot of functionality as far as, you know, spell checking, autocompletes, you know, a lot of the stuff that you would see in your in a word processor. There's also capabilities to embed or to use a tagging language, so that allows information to show up based on the data that it's working with. So if I have an email that's going to be sent out for a person because they they nominated somebody for a job well done, it could automatically be personalized and everything else. So all that can be done in here by basically just inserting the different tags. If you want to insert a background image, if you want this saved as a PDF, all that capabilities type in there. There's a image editor built into this. There's autocompletes built into all the text components. There's filtering and what's called merging and some other stuff. All that put together gives us a lot of functionality that we can have from this client. The layout here, as far as the top level, there's these areas where when we design a model, it says we want to be able to have a certain search based on the employee award. And as busy as this is, it's because that's what we defined in the model of what we want to search off of. If we want to change how any of this looks or works, then we can basically make some changes to the model and run the application, and then we have it. And then under the admin, it's kind of the catch-all for all of the other areas that are basically pre-selected type information that's used within the application. We call them lookups. So here we can have a list of the charities, we can have a list of all the e-cards, and again, with any of these we can get into this information and actually see, you know, the information that goes on with that. So it's very model driven, and as you can see it from the requirements, which is driving, you know, how the model was built, it kind of flows all the way down. So that's a client application. This is more of an in-house power user type of application, and again, it follows the requirements of the application, so its complexity, you know, is basically that. The other side to the server is for web access. And a couple of things going on with that. One is the client application can be deployed from the browser, from any browser, and basically we launch it here, and then we can run the application. The actual website itself that's built, and this is not generated, and I'll talk about that in a second, but this is the web interface. There's a login page, and then as we get into, and I didn't set up right, but as we get into the application, and we'll go over this more, the whole site, along with the process of designing this and getting the requirements, we also do a wireframe, and part of the wireframing is, you know, graphic designer, a web designer, working together and working out exactly how the client experience is going to be and the web access layer is going to be, and that's done all the way through in detail. And the nice part about that is that helps drive the requirements, helps smooth out some of the areas where you might have ran into later that you're going to see in this process. The other nice part about this, there's no programming in that process. It's all HTML5 development. And there's very little even JavaScript, so it's mostly CSS, HTML, you know, graphical, you know, images and stuff like that following through it. What we're able to do on our application side, development side, is we're actually have a component set that's extendable, so it's real easy for us to add new features and also extend it so other component sets could work with it, to actually work within these pages. So the end result is our application developers who are making these pages dynamic aren't changing the pages, don't have to recreate them and try to do the whole process of trying to get them to fit. Instead, what it does is it takes what the web designer built and actually makes it dynamic. We have components that will reach into this text field and set it up so that it will automatically be tied to the back end, to a command, again, that's built into the model. So we're actually allowing, using the component set and the functionality that we have, is we can take the website that was built here and actually bind it into our back end and totally make it interactive without changing and recreating any of the web pages or anything. We can also make it dynamic, so we can actually turn stuff on and off, flip it around, and make it dynamic. We can also have commands that we can turn stuff, we can go in this debug mode so we can see what is going to be dynamic and what's already dynamic and all that kind of stuff. So we have a lot of functionality that we can use to make this very dynamic, to the point where somebody can use the admin client and actually take anything on the whole website and make it dynamic with the back end. So it's less of a programming at that point and more of a configuration. Your color codes, your skins, and all that kind of stuff work that way. So that's it for this demo.